Okay, hi everyone. Evening, happy Monday. Oh, look at the mess of me and the room behind me. Okay. Evening all. Sorry about that. I was just having a little bit of a technical problem. It came up that I couldn't stream to Facebook, so not quite sure what that was about, so I just deleted it and re-added it, and hopefully you can see me on Facebook as well as on YouTube. Okay, let me go to my comments. Lovely. So tonight is going to be a live with a little bit of difference. It's not going to be any crafting. I'm going to walk you through the last chance sale that starts at 11 o'clock tonight here in the UK. And basically, the last chance lists have been out for a little while now, but they're quite confusing. They're quite long. So I've made a really good visual for you all, and I'm going to walk you through each catalogue, and I'm going to share with you all the products that are not just retiring, but that are going to be discounted tonight from 11 o'clock. If at any point a product takes your fancy and you want to order it, you can add that to the comments. You can send me an email and I can order that tonight when I do my first order. Or you can order online yourself tonight from 11 o'clock. Just be mindful that some products that are heavily discounted and that are really popular, that are retiring, will sell out very, very quickly. Things like designer series paper, ink refills, and some of the basic supply items that are discounted, they will go really, really quickly. Okay, so just to let you know, the products that are listed as retiring, once they're gone, they won't be coming back. So if they're on your wish list, I would purchase them sooner rather than later. If they're not on your wish list but you still fancy them, why don't you treat yourself? On my website, staceymarsh.co.uk, you will find my online shopping code for the month. Do make sure you enter that at the online checkout. You will receive a free gift from me in May, and if you spend more than £45, you will also receive my card class kit for April for free. Okay, so lots of different things for you to earn there for free. And as always, if you have any questions, pop them in the comments. Let me know what's high up on your wish list and chat amongst yourselves. So I'll skip over to my desk. I'm going to go through the mini catalogue first, and then I'm going to go through the main catalogue. So pour yourself a cup of tea, put your feet up and sit tight. Okay, so here is my desk, complete with stall that I cut and coloured last night. So I'm going to go through this catalogue first. So this catalogue, this is the January to April mini catalogue, and it finishes at the end of April. But all the products that are retiring, once they're gone, they're gone. Okay, there's not a huge amount in this catalogue that is discounted, but I'll talk it through nonetheless. Okay. So Be Mine is the first suite, and some of this is retiring and some of it is staying. The pillow boxes, they are retiring and they are reduced by 30% down to £5.25. Okay. The papers are retiring, and the hearts and flowers adhesive back hearts and flowers embellishments are going. The punch and the bundle and the stamp is staying. Okay. Next, we have Sending Love bundle. The bundle is retiring, so it won't be available at 10% off, but the stamps and the dies will be in the new catalogue. You just have to purchase them separately. Heartfelt hexagons, the stamp set and the punch is going into the new catalogue, but you cannot buy them at the discounted price. Hooray for surprises, the stamp set and the dies are carrying over, but the bundle price will retire at the end of April. Forever Love, some of this is carrying over. Pretty Peacock and Gold Metallic Ribbon is carrying over, and the Pretty Pink and Peacock Foil Gems are carrying over. Everything else is retiring, but none of it is going in the sale. The stamp set and the dies are carrying over. Sorry about that. Delicate Forest, the stamp set and dies are carrying over. Here, brayering and layering, everything is carrying over. The bundle price will finish at the end of April. My favourite Hills of Tuscany stamp set is retiring. Sadly, it's not reduced. But don't forget, if you purchase the stamp set throughout April, you will receive the kits for my April Spotlight class for free. Wild Ferns, the stamp set and dies are carrying over. The bundle price is finishing. Perennial lavender, a lot of this is carrying over. Okay, the bundle prices will finish and everything else will be available after April. Easter lilies, this is a discounted price. It's retiring. The stamp set and dies and bundle price is retiring. Stamp set is remaining at £23, but the dies are reduced by 50% down to £16. Nice little bargain there. That brings the bundle price down to £39. There's a little bit of a savings there. Eggs and eggs bundle, both of these items are retiring and both of them are discounted. The stamp set is reduced down to £15.40 and the dies are reduced down to £9.60. So that makes the bundle, if you buy them separately in the sale, £25, which is a great saving. The stamp set alone before the sale was £22. Everyday details, stamp set and dies are carrying over. Blueberry bunches is carrying over. Cake fancy is carrying over. Flower cart stamps and dies are carrying over. Lighter than air, a lot of this is carrying over, which I'm really, really pleased about. Filled with happiness, this is a stamp set. It coordinates with the modern oval punch. The punch is carrying over and the Filled with Happiness stamp set is reduced by 30% down to £13.30. Great savings there. Missed a page. Love This Moment is carrying over, as is Ice Cream Swirl. Mix and Mask, that's all carrying over. Nature's Sweetness, now this is a confusing one. The papers are carrying over, as is the notes, the Lovely and Sweet stamp set and dies. Everything else is going. So that my favourite Notes of Nature stamp set sadly is retiring. The dies are retiring, as is the thread and the cork rounds. They were really, really popular. More Than Memories, Sweet Thoughts, Memories and More cards, which I made my sampler frame with, they are retiring. They're down by 30% to £6.65. And Sweet Thoughts, Memories and More cards and envelopes, again, that is also down by 30% to £6.65. Let's Chat stamp set is down by 30% to £12.60. Great price. All of that is carrying over. Just Kidding, some of this is carrying over, which is nice. Bright Skies is carrying over. So there's quite a lot going forward. Submarine Life is carrying over. And Cutest Cows is carrying over. Rock and Roll, this whole suite is retiring. And there's a great discount on the stamp set and dies. The stamp set is down by 30% to £16.10. And the Rockstar dies is down by 50% to £13.50. So that makes that £29.60 for the whole bundle, which is a great price. The DSP is also reduced by 10% to £10.58. Okay, all that's carrying over. Lastly, we have Cliffs by the Ocean. That's reduced by 30% to £16.10. A lot of this Poetic Expressions is retiring and some of it is staying. The Thoughtful Expressions dies are retiring and they are down by 40% to £21. And that is it for the mini catalogue. So there's quite a lot in there that is carrying over and there's not a lot that's discounted. But the annual catalogue, there's a lot going and a lot in the sale. So I'm going to skip through these first few pages. Right, so Beautiful Balloons, it is retiring. The stamps is reduced by 40% to £13.80. The dies are retiring, but they are not reduced. Carousel Horses, both items are retiring. Oh no, actually the dies are in the back. This is where I get confused. So I'm wrong. Let's go back. So Beautiful Balloons, the stamp set is reduced by 40% to £13.80 and the dies are reduced by 10% to £28.80. Okay, it's page 15. Carousel horses, the stamp set is reduced by 10% to £20.70. And the dies are retiring, but they're not reduced. Circle sayings is reduced. The stamp set is reduced by 50% to £11.50. And the punch is staying. Charming sentiment, I know the dies are going as well. So stamp set is reduced by 50% to £11. And the dies are reduced. Did I see it? Are the dies reduced? So these go as sentiment silhouettes. Yes, sentiment silhouettes is reduced by 60% down to £13.20. So that makes the bundle £24.20. The stamp set before the sale was £22. So that is a great product to add to the sale. Lazy Days, this is reduced by 30% to £16.10. And the dies are reduced by 50% to £16. So £16 and £16.10 is £32.10 for both the items. Moving on, page 20. Sweetish Cherries, the stamp set is reduced by 50% to £8.50. And the punch that coordinates with this, the Cherry Builder punch, is also reduced by 50% to £10.50. So that makes that less than £20 for the stamp set and the punch. Fabulous price. Seasonal Branches, the stamp set is reduced by 50% to £12. And the dies are reduced by 50% to £16. So that's £28 for the stamp set and the dies. Next, Dainty Delight. The stamp set is reduced by 50% to £12. And the dies are reduced by 50% to £17. So that's £29 for the stamp set and the dies. Handmade Hugs is retiring. The stamp set is reduced by 50% to £9. And the punch is reduced also by 50% to £10.50. So that makes that £19.50 for the stamp set and the punch. And the stamp set goes around this tag here. Nature's Prints stamp set is reduced by 20% to £19.20. And the dies are reduced by 50% to £17.50. So that's a nice savings there. Lighting the Way, the stamp set is reduced by 60% to £8.80. And the dies are reduced by 40% to £17.40. Colour and Contour, the stamp set is retiring. It's down by 40% to £12. And this coordinates with one of my favourite ever die sets, Scalloped Contours dies. I'm really going to miss those. They're reduced by 20% to £26.40. So a little bit of a savings. I never bought the stamp set. I wasn't bothered with the images. But I have used these scalloped rectangles so many times over the last couple of years. I absolutely love them. They're perfect for any occasion and for scrapbooking. Sending Smile, stamp set is retiring. I don't think the dies are... Well, the dies that coordinate with this. So the stamp set isn't reduced. The stamp set remains at £21. But the dies are reduced by 50% to £15.50. And you get this beautiful double layered sending word that you can use. And the dies could work on their own as well. Pansy Patch is finally going. Pansy Patch has been around for years. And that's reduced by 60% to £9.60. And the dies are reduced also by 50% to £15. So that's £24.60 for both of them. Brilliant savings, and those dies are stunning. Someone created them into poppies over Remembrance Day last year, and it was just magnificent. Really did use that well. The sentiments in that are lovely. They look really, really pretty when they're stamped. Super cool stamp set. I didn't buy this. I've seen quite a lot of nice things stamped with it though. 50% down to £9.50. So refreshing. Stamp set is reduced by 30% to £16.10. And the dies are also reduced by 50% to £14.50. So that's a nice little saving. That's just over £30 for both items. Less shops, the whole suite is going. The papers are reduced by 40% to £7.05. Great discount. The stamp set is reduced by 20% to £18.40. And the dies are retiring, but they're not reduced. So there's a little bit of a savings there. Sweet Citrus stamp set is retiring by 60%. It's down to £8.80. And the embossing folder is also reduced by 30%. So it's down to £21.70. So that's just under £30 for both of those items. Hang on a second. Dave? No. He's eating his bed. Next, Good Feelings. Good Feelings is going 60% down to £9.20. I've used these sentiments quite a bit as well. Really did enjoy those. They're great for a number of different occasions. And you don't need a lot of other things on the card. Both of Something Fancy is staying. Two-Tone Flora stamp set is going. It's reduced by 30% down to £15.40. Sentimental Park is staying, as is Best Family Ever. Petal Park, however, is going. It's reduced by 20% to £17.60. And the dies that coordinate with this are on 149. Oh, it's a punch, sorry. The Petal Park Builder Punch is actually staying. I think because it coordinates. So it doesn't coordinate with that, but it is staying. Very Best Occasion stamp set is reduced by 60% down to £9.60. It coordinates with the Very Best Trio Punch, which is reduced by 40% down to £13.80. That's a great little savings there. So £9.60 and £13.80 is just over the price of the stamp set. Apple Harvest is going. It's reduced by 60% down to £9.20. Cottage Wreaths is also retiring. It is down by 60% to £7.20. The dies you will find on page 163. And they are reduced by 50% to £18.50. So that's a great savings. That's just over £26, if my maths is right, for both items, which is lovely. Season of Chic is going, reduced by 50% to £13. The dies are also on page 163, and they are also reduced by 50%, so £17.30. So that's £30.50 for both of those items when purchased separately. Wonderful Thoughts. Now, I haven't put R next to that, so I think that might be staying. Let's have a look. Yeah, that is staying, that bundle. Regal Reindeer is retiring. Stamp set is reduced by 20% to £18.40. The dies you will find on page 166. And they are reduced by 50% down to £15.50. Brightest Glow is retiring. It's reduced by 60% to £9.60. That stamp set is some really lovely sentiments to use at Christmas time. Really, really liked that stamp set. I used a lot of that for the insides of my Christmas cards. We all like to add a little bit extra to our Christmas cards. The dies are on page 164, and they are reduced. What are they called? Labels Ago. Here we go. That's reduced by 40% down to £18.60. So quite a big savings there. Perched in a Tree, the stamp set is retiring. It's reduced by 50% down to £11. and it goes with a stamp set of dies, Aspen Tree dies. Here, the dies are reduced by 50% to £17. So that's £28 for the stamp set and the dies in the sale. Great savings. Okay. Moving on, Ringed with Nature is retiring. The stamp set is reduced by 50% to £11. And I do believe Trees Ring Hybrid Embossing Folder is reduced by 60% down to £14. That makes that bundle £25 for the stamps, the dies and the embossing folder. That's a great bargain. Celebrate with Tags. The dies went a long time ago. The stamp set is now retiring. It's reduced by 50% to £11. Now this makes me very sad. Zany Zoo is disappearing. This was my absolute favourite thing in the annual catalogue, and I'm going to be really sad to see this go, to the point where I don't actually think I'm going to get rid of the stamp set. It's too cute. The stamp set is reduced. It is retiring. It's not reduced. The dies are retiring. It is not reduced. Okay, so there's no discount on Zany Zoo. You can, however, purchase the papers at a discount. 30% off down to £8.22. These will sell out really, really quickly. The ribbon, the combo pack, down by 20% to £7.60. So although the suite is retiring, you can only get a discount on the papers and on the ribbons. Okay. Bird's Eye View is staying, thank goodness. Love that stamp set. However, the chickens are retiring. Stamp set is retiring but not reduced. And the dies, have a look, are reduced by 30% down to £21. Okay, so a little bit of a discount there. Happy Easter. I used this on last week's Thursday live, and stamp set's reduced by 60% down to £7.20. And the punch that goes with this little rabbit is, where is it? Reduced by 40% to £12.50. So that is £19.70 for the punch and the stamp set. So the stamp set before the sale is £18. So for an extra £1.70, you can get the punch in the sale. Happy Labels is going, reduced by 60% to £9.20. Silly Goose stamp set is reduced by 60%, also to £9.20. Taco Fiesta, loved Taco Fiesta. That is retiring with no discount. Little Monkey, for those of you that loved the Little Monkey, me being one of them, stamp set is reduced by 50% to £10. And I do believe the punch is also reduced by 50% to £10.50. So that's £20.50 for the stamp set and the punch in the sale. Before the sale, the stamp set alone was £20, so fabulous saving. That's probably one of my highlights of the sale. Biggest Wish is retiring. I'm going to really miss this. I've used this so much over the years. I'm definitely going to miss that. It's retiring, but it's not reduced. Hello Kiwi, reduced by 50% down to £9.50. Share a Milkshake is reduced by 50%. So the stamp set on its own is £9. And the dies are reduced by 60%, so £11.20. This is another one of my highlights. So that makes that whole bundle £20 and 20p. Absolutely incredible savings. Phrases for All is retiring. It's down by 50% to £10. That's a nice little all occasion stamp set. I really like the happy birthday in that and the thank you. Although I never bought it. Not quite sure why. Moving on. Friendship Royalty retiring but not in the sale. Little Dreamers is retiring. The stamps are reduced by 10%, so a savings there brings that down to £20.70. The dies are reduced. No, they're not reduced. They're just retiring. So there's just a little bit of a savings there on that one. It's probably cheaper to still buy the bundle. Hello Ladybug. This has been around for quite a while and we're saying cheerio to it. The stamp set is reduced by 60%, so £6.80 for that stamp set. And the punch is on page 149, is reduced by 50%, so £10.50. So that brings that to just over £17 for the stamp set and the punch. The punch on its own before the sale is £21. It's just there, page 149, another one of my highlights. Happy Hedgehogs is retiring. It's down to £10.20, so it's reduced by 40%. Sweet Songbirds is reduced by 60%, down to £7.20. The punch is also reduced by 50% to £10.50. So that's just over £18. Yeah, no, just under £18 for both the stamp set and the punch, which is another highlight. Playing in the Rain is staying. Everyday Thanks is going. It's reduced by 50 down to £11. By My Side, this is another one of my favourites. It's retiring. I'm going to keep it because my children say that this is me and this is Dave, so I have to keep that. It's retiring, but it's not reduced. Countryside Inn. Now, this is a complicated suite. The papers, don't tell anyone. I don't like these papers. Never have done. I've never got on with them. Anyway, they're staying. Biggest disappointment for me, but never mind. The embossing folder is reduced by 20%, down to £6.40. The stamp set is reduced by 20%, down to £17.60, but the dies are staying. Lasting Joy stamp set is retiring. It's reduced by 60%, down to £7.60. Some lovely sentiments in that and a really nice font. Textured Floral remains. I'm happy about that. Quiet Meadow. This one's been around for quite some time and it is retiring at last. It's reduced by 60%, which brings the stamp set down to £8. You'll find the dies on page 164. 164. They're called Meadow. They are reduced by 40%, down to £18.60. So £24.60 will get you the stamp set and the coordinating dies. Timeless Arrangements is retiring. There's no discount there. I will check the dies. Again, it's just retiring. It's not reduced. Darling Details is retiring. The stamp set is reduced by 30%, down to £16.10. You'll find the dies on page 156. And they are reduced by 50%, down to £17. That's a great bargain as well. Just My Type stamp set is retiring. It's reduced by 40%, down to £13.80. Earth and Elegance. A lot of this is retiring. So the papers are retiring. They are reduced by 40%, down to £7.05. The ribbon is retiring. The stamp set is retiring, but there's no discount. And the dies are retiring, but again, no discount. So you will still save money on that bundle price. Hope and Prayer is retiring. It's reduced by 50%, down to £9. And Places in the Heart is reduced by 30%, down to £14.70. Time Together is a bundle. The stamp set is retiring, but it is not reduced. And the dies, again, also on page 160. That is retiring. It's reduced by 20%, down to £24.80. So a little bit of savings. Country Bouquet, the stamp set is reduced by 60%, down to £8.80. It coordinates with a punch that you'll find on page 148. This one here, the Country Bouquet punch. It's reduced by 50%, down to £10.50. So that's a lovely savings. Just over £18 for, just over £19 for both items. Everlasting Beauty is retiring. It's reduced by 50% to £12.50. Let's Go Fishing. The papers are reduced by 40%, down to £7.05. And the embossing folder is also reduced by 40%. That's down to £5.70. Stamp set and dies carry over. Supremely Awesome is reduced by 60%, down to £10. It's a Science is reduced by 50% and down to £11. And Construction Zone is down by 50% to £11. Next Destination, this is a great stamp set for scrapbooking, reduced by 60% down to £9.20. Both Sweet and Precious and He's All That are both retiring, but there's no discount. He's All That does coordinate with the All That dies on page 162. And they're actually reduced by 50% down to £13.50. So a fantastic saving there. Oceanfront standalone stamp set is reduced by 30% down to £14.70. Wild and Sweet is retiring without being in the sale. Stargazing. I know a lot of people were fond of this. Wasn't something that I purchased, but it's all in the sale. So the papers are reduced by 40% to £7.05. The holographic paper, holographic trio 12 by 12 paper, is reduced by 10% down to £8.55. The stamp set is reduced by 50% down to £12. The dies are on page 159. And they are reduced by 10% down to £28.80. So there's some great savings on that whole suite if you are still a fan of it. On the Ocean is retiring. Stamp set is reduced by 50% to £11. Dies are on page 165. And they are reduced by 60% to £13.60. So that is £24.60 for the stamp set and the dies. Absolutely fantastic savings. I saw Kayla McCready make the most beautiful card with that bundle. So jealous of her style. Fun on Wheels, retiring but not reduced, the stamp set. The dies on page 157 are reduced by 20% down to £21.60. So a little bit of savings there. Enjoy the Rhythm is reduced by 60% to £8. Brood for You, the stamp set is retiring but not reduced. The dies are on page 162 and they are reduced by 40% down to £13.80. So that's £30.80 for the dies and the stamp set. Level Complete stamp set is retiring but not reduced. Inked Botanicals, I loved this suite. The papers are reduced by 40% to £7.05. Inked and Tiled stamp set is reduced by 30% to £18.20. You'll find the Punch bundle on page 147. It's the Inked and Tiled Punch Pack. It's reduced by 20% to £30.40. Nice savings. In the Moment stamp set is reduced by 60% to £9.20. Go To Greetings is retiring but not reduced. Bottled Happiness is retiring and reduced by 40% to £13.20. Bold Bouquet, the stamp set is reduced from £19 to £9.50. And the dies are on page 155. Bold Bouquet. They're reduced by 60% down to £10.80. So that's just over £20 there for the stamp set and the dies. Wildlife Wonder is reduced by 60% to £9.20. Scenic Wonders is reduced by 60% to £10. Seaside Bay, this was really popular when it came out, reduced by 60% down to £10. The dies are on page 166. And they are reduced by 60% to £12.80. So it's £22.80 for the stamp set and the dies. Fabulous savings. Masterfully Made suite. Most of this is going. The papers are reduced by 40% down to £7.05. The stamp set is reduced by 40%, which brings it down to £13.80. And the dies on page 157 are reduced by 10% down to £27. So that's savings. Vertical blooms is going retired, reduced by 60% down to £7.20. Days to Remember is retired, reduced by 30% down to £11.20. Thanks for Everything, Marvellous, sorry, that's the sentiment. Marvellous Nature stamp set is reduced by 40%, which brings it down to £15. Botanical Layers is reduced by 60%, which brings it down to £8.80. Your Path Awaits is reduced by 50%, which brings it down to £11.50. You're nearly there with the stamp sets now. Love for You, loved this stamp set. I've used it so much. I think I've actually got about 4 stamps that are missing as well. I've used it that much. It's retiring, reduced by 60% down to £7.60. The dies are on page 164, and they're reduced by 60% down to 12. So that's £19.60 for the stamp set and the dies, which is a great savings. Enchanted Butterfly is retiring but not reduced, and that's a reversible stamp set. Fresh as a Daisy, papers again reduced by 40% down to £7.05. The gems are reduced by 30%, which brings them down to £5.25. Cheerful Daisies is carrying over, which I'm very pleased about. Beauty of the Deep is carrying over. Waves of Inspiration, the stamp set is reduced by 60%, which brings it down to £8.80. The dies are on 167, and they are reduced by 50%, which brings it down to 16. So that is £24.80 for both the stamp set and the dies, which is lovely. Artistically Inked is reduced by 10%, brings it down to £20.70. Prized Plant is reduced by 50%, which brings it down to £9.50. Softly Sketched is also reduced by 50%, bringing it down to £11.50. Around the Bend, the stamp set is reduced by 60%, bringing it down to £9.60. The dies are on page 162. And I think the dies are carrying over. Okay. Alphabest, the stamp set is reduced by 50%, bringing it to £8.50. That's great if you're a scrapbooker. There is a punch that goes with it, the Best Label punch, on page 149. It's retiring, but it's not reduced. Okay. We have the background stamps now. So Berry Harvest is down to £13.30. Rays of Light is retiring but not reduced. Spiral Die is retiring, reduced by 50% to £8.50. Timeless Tiles is retired, reduced by 50% to £8.50. Snow Crystal is reduced by 40%, bringing it down to £12. And Perfectly Detailed is reduced by 60%, bringing it down to £9.60. Okay, so that's all the stamps and the matching dies. We're moving on now to colours, and this is where it gets a little bit confusing. So all the 2022 to 2024 in colours are retiring. So the cardstock is all retiring but not reduced. The stamping pads are all down by, I'm not sure the percentage, but they are reduced to £6.80. The ink refills are all reduced. They range from £3.32 to £4.27. The blends, they are all retiring, all those colours, and they are all reduced. The minimum price is £5.70 for Sweet Sorbet, Parakeet Party, Starry Sky and Orchid Oasis. But Tahitian Tide is £6.65. Who knows why? Moving on over here, page 125, we have some in colour. We have new core colours. So last year all the colours changed, and we could buy things in their core colour collection. So just the new colours in the core. So you can no longer get the cardstock in the bundle pack in A4 and 12 by 12. The stamp pads that you could buy as a bundle, you won't be able to buy it as a bundle after this catalogue. That's reduced down to £58.80. Now, they're all current colours. Those colours are staying. So if you don't have those in your collection, they would normally cost you £76.50. So that's a great savings there. It's a savings of nearly £20. Stampin' Right markers, the assortment. New core colours are usually £84, but they're reduced to £58.80. So that's an amazing savings. Stampin' Right markers are reduced from £38.50 down to £23.10, and that's just for those core colours. Okay. 2022 to 2024 colour collection is all retiring. You can get the 12 by 12 cardstock down to £12.60, and the Stampin' Right markers down to £8.75. They should be £17.50. So that's a good savings there. Okay. So the cardstock is retiring. You will no longer be able to get Very Vanilla thick card. Cellophane bags are retiring. They're reduced by 20% down to £4.20. The 2023 to 25 in colour treat bags are reduced by 40% to £5.70. The envelope treat boxes are reduced by 40% down to £4.50. Vellum is also retiring, but it's not reduced. The speciality paper, the white centre 12 by 12 paper is reduced by 50% down to £5.37. Number 4, the rose gold 12 by 12 paper is retiring but not reduced. Number 5, the textured 12 by 12 paper is reduced by 50% down to £4.75. Number 6, More Dazzle 6 by 6 speciality paper is retiring but not reduced. Number 7, Soft Shimmer 12 by 12 paper is reduced by 30% down to £7.17. Number 8, the 22 to 24 in colour 12 by 12 speciality paper is reduced by 50% down to £5.12. The 2023-2025 in colour 12 by 12 luster speciality paper is reduced by 40% down to £6.15. And then lastly, number 10, the distressed gold 12 by 12 speciality paper is retiring but not reduced. Just recap on all these papers. So Bright and Beautiful is carrying over, Countryside Inn is carrying over. Delightfully Eclectic 12 by 12 designer series paper was £28 because it's 48 sheets. It's reduced by 50% down to £14. I've loved using those papers, and they're great for lots of different occasions. Earth and Elegance, Fresh as a Daisy, Inked Botanicals, Let's Go Fishing and Less Shops are all reduced by 40%, bringing them down to £7.05. They will all sell out really quickly, I'm sure. Papers always go quickly. Glorious Gingham 6 by 6 is down by 50% to £5. Stargazing is reduced by 40% to £7.05. Zoo Crew is reduced by 30% down to £8.22. Over here, the in colour 6 by 6 DSP, both sets are retiring. 2023 to 25 is reduced down to £8.22, and the 22 to 24 has 50% off down to £5.87. 6 by 6 DSP in the colour collections, they're all retiring. The neutrals and the regals are down by 40% to £7.05, and the subtles are reduced by 20% down to £9.40. The brights are not reduced. Vellum Basics 12 by 12 is reduced by 20% down to £7.60. And that's everything on those two pages. Next, Memories Are More and Even More. The Bright and Beautiful Memories Are More card pack is reduced by 40% down to £4.80. And the matching cards and envelopes are reduced by 50% down to £5.12. 3 by 3 envelopes are retiring but not reduced. Craft note cards and envelopes are retiring, reduced by 10% down to £8.55. Very Vanilla basic envelopes are retiring but not reduced. And Very Vanilla note cards and envelopes are retiring but not reduced. Page 136, which is a mix of different Technique products. Decorative masks, artistic mix is reduced by retiring but not reduced. 4 square masks are down by 40% to £5.70. Both embossing powders are retiring. They're coming back in a different configuration of colours, so don't panic. They're not reduced. Heat and stick powder is also retiring but not reduced. Embellishments, here we go. So page 139, number 1, iridescent shaker circles down by 10% to £6.7. Number 2, round and square brads reduced by 10% to £6.7. And loose silver sequins reduced by 10% down to £6.7. Number 4, the loose daisy embellishments are reduced by 40% down to £4.05. Okay. Need a sip of my tea. Page 140. Now, some of these embellishments I may already have covered in other pages. Number 1, iridescent pastel gems reduced by 40% to £4.50. Number 6, festive pearls reduced by 30% down to £4.72. Number 9, the 22 to 24 in colour pearls reduced by 40% down to £4.05. Number 11, iridescent rhinestones reduced by 10% down to £6.30. Page 141. Number 1, rustic metallic adhesive back dots reduced by 40% to £4.50. Number 3, classic matte dots reduced by 20% down to £5.40. Brushed metallic dots number 4 reduced by 20% to £6.80. Number 7, opaque ovals reduced by 30% to £4.90. Number 10, pastel adhesive back sequins reduced by 40% to £4.50. Number 11, gilded leafing reduced by 20% brings it down to £6.80. That goes really well with a heat and stick powder. You can't use that without it. And a little pot goes such a long way. Vintage bottle shaker domes reduced by 30% to £5.25. Ribbons. Okay, so all of the ribbons on page 143 are retiring. They're all going. The 3/4 of an inch herringbone ribbon is reduced by 40% to £4.80. The balmy blue and white variegated ribbon is reduced by 40% to £5.10. The balmy blue and white double stitched ribbon is reduced by 30% to £4.72. The pool party grosgrain ribbon is reduced by 40% to £4.50. Real red and garden green ribbon combo pack reduced by 30% to £4.90. Night of navy bordered ribbon reduced by 30% to £5.95. All of the 2023-2025 textured ribbons are retiring. The only ones that are reduced is copper clay by 30% to £5.25 and pebbled path by 10% to £6.25. The real red and burlap ribbon combo pack is reduced by 30% to £5.95. And the misty moonlight inner braid ribbon is reduced by 10% to £6.75. My favourite black and white gingham ribbon is reduced by 20% to £5.40. Pecan pie bordered ribbon is reduced by 20% to £6. And the sheer ribbon combo pack is reduced by 20% down to £9.40. We're nearly there now. All of the metallic woven ribbon for 22-24 are retiring. They are all reduced by 40%, which brings them down to £5.10 each. Gold and vanilla edged ribbon, Simply Elegant trim are both retiring but not reduced. Silver threaded twine is retiring, reduced by 40% to £4.50. The 22-24 in colour Baker's twine pack is reduced by 60% down to £5.60. Okay. Moving on to punches now. So I've gone through most of those punches already. Some of these are standalone punches, so I'll go through them. Dragonflies reduced by 50% to £10.50. Lasting Label is 50% down to £10.50, as is the Cloud, and as is the Decorative Circle. The Double Oval punch is retiring but not reduced. Over here we've got the Sailboat Builder down by 40% to £12.60, and the Hedgehog is reduced by 50% down to £10.50. Everything else I've covered. We have some blocks that are retiring. Block G, which is this little block here, really useful for sentiment. That's retiring but not reduced. And block I is also retiring but not reduced, and that looks like that. Okay. The clear block Storage Caddy is also retiring but not reduced. Skipping along now, we've covered all of these bundles already. So I'm going to move on to the standalone dies. Here we go. So artistic dies are reduced by 50% to £16.50. Basic Borders is retiring but not reduced. Brilliant Backgrounds is down by 60% to £12.80. Christmas Pinecone reduced by 60% to £16.80. Cracker and Treat Box is retiring but not reduced. Dots and Spots, one of my favourites. I love this die. I'm going to miss that a lot. Reduced by 60% down to £12. I recommend you buy that. I've used mine so much. Give It a Whirl is finally retiring. It's been around for a few catalogues now. Reduced by 40% down to £22.20. I've used that a lot. It's a really fun interactive card. Great for children. Gorgeous Garden is reduced by 40% down to £24. The others we've covered on that page. Over here, Paper Florist retiring but not reduced. Patchwork Pieces retired down by 10% to £29.70. And Petal Patterns is reduced by 50% down to £24. That's a great one for scrapbooking, that die. Okay. Over onto page 166, we've covered those already because they coordinate with stamps. Stitched with Whimsy, reduced by 40% down to £16.20. Tailor-Made Tags is retiring but not reduced. I've used that one a lot. Two-Tone Flora reduced by 50% down to £18.50. It does coordinate with the stamps, so I may already have covered that. Embossing folders. We may have covered some of these already. So Cascading Ruffles is reduced by 50% to £5.12. Elegant Eucalyptus retiring but not reduced. Geometric Patterns retiring, reduced by 30% to £5.95. Painted Poses, I've just bought this, retiring, reduced by 50% down to £5.12. The Quatrefoil Tile and the Raindrops embossing folder are reduced by 50%, bringing them down to £4.50. Stripes and Splatters 3D mini embossing folders reduced by 40% down to £6.15. And I do believe that is it. So there's lots to take in there. I'm going to go back to my other screen to finish off. Okay. So I'm back. Here we go. I think that's the most I've spoken in any live, and I've not done any crafting. So that is the sale in a nutshell. The sale, as I mentioned at the beginning, that starts at 11 o'clock tonight on the 8th of April, and it will go until the end of the catalogue. So the end of April it will finish. As things sell out, they won't become available anymore. Once they're gone, they're gone. I would recommend you ordering sooner rather than later to avoid any disappointment of things selling out. Usually the papers are the first thing to go, and the re-inkers for the ink colours. So if you've got any of those on your wish list, get them ordered. Do enter my online shopping code for the month of April at checkout if you're ordering online, and that will give you a free gift with your purchase that I will send you in May. You'll also get a mini card kit, and if you spend over £45, you will receive April's card kit for free, card class for free, including the kit if you're here in the UK. If you're not comfortable ordering online, or you're not quite sure how to do it, or you normally order through me, just drop me an email with your order on. I'm placing an order tonight at 11 o'clock, and I will do one again on Monday. So you do run the risk of things selling out if you choose that option before I place my next order. So I think I've covered everything. If anyone has any questions, pop them in the comments and I'll keep an eye on them and I'll answer them after the live. This will be my last live this week. I'm busy on Thursday. I'm taking the girls to London, so we're having a nice little day out. And tomorrow at 2 o'clock, my Spotlight Stamp class goes live. So you'll be able to catch me then. It's pre-recorded, but it will premiere on YouTube. And it's also scheduled to be posted on Facebook and Instagram. So that's it from me. If anyone's got any questions, let me know. If you want any more information, you can go to my website, which is staceymarsh.co.uk. And I will leave you all there. So thank you to everybody who's joined me tonight, who's followed along. And if you're watching back on the replay, I hope you managed to get to the end. So I will see you all very soon. Bye for now, everyone.